Coming at you live from DNHQ in beautiful South Pasadena, California. This is the Blue Heaven Podcast. And there's a lot going on in Dodgers Nation right now. What is going on, people of the internet? My name is Clint. You can find me as RealFRG on Twitter and Instagram.
That's right. And I'm Brooke. You can find me at BrookeMe3 on Twitter and Instagram. On today's show, well, we got a new guy. I mean, he's not new. He's old. He's very old.
I've never heard of this name.
He's pretty old. Albert Pujols, the Los Angeles Dodger. If you haven't heard by now, then I don't know why the hell you're watching our show, because clearly you don't look at stuff.
Yeah, you don't do the internet very well. Pujols is a Dodger. Corey Seager is hurt, and it sucks. And, I mean, everybody's kind of hurt. New roster, who dis? Because they did that, Andrew Friedman did that thing he does where he kind of like just shows out, builds up a new roster. So they got Yoshi Tsutsugo, so that's a fun name to always talk about or to say, and we're going to talk about him a little bit. There's a whole lot more we're going to talk about. I think we got to give away the prize from last week, which is that thing that I'm not going to make Brooke get down again, but it's from our friends over at Vintage Brand, so stay tuned. A little bit later, we'll announce that winner of the giveaway. Before we get into the show, we got to remind you this is a podcast, so if you would like to subscribe and help us out, that'd be cool. iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Stitcher Radio, Player FM, everywhere your podcasts are available for free, we're there. And if you could leave a review, do it. That'd be cool. Not every spot lets you do that. Do subscribe, though, on our YouTube, youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. And that would help us out a whole bunch. Me, this guy, Doug, Eric Ulo. We got a lot of stuff that comes out. Pretty much every day, there's new Dodgers content on the internet.
Absolutely, because every day something happens, as was displayed this past weekend. Usually weekends are fun. You get to relax. You get to hang out. Not this weekend. Not this weekend. It was not something that we could do.
On that note, do you like that? Okay, so usually, I mean, there's not much you can do in the COVID era. So we golf whenever we can. Usually when it's going to be a day where we're kind of like expecting to maybe have a few more brew doggies and not be overly engaged in that day, we'll tell one another, hey, I'm going to be out golfing that day. And usually, without fail, when I tell you that, something big happens.
Every time. I think that you should keep golfing.
Just keep golfing, see what happens?
Yeah, and just see if we, I don't know, sign Oral Hershiser or something like that. I don't know.
I guess I can start a GoFundMe for like golf. Golfer roster.
Yeah, you can do whatever you want, man. The world's your oyster. Guys, don't forget, this is a live show. We are here. We want to talk with you guys about all of the moves, everything happening, good and bad. We want to talk about it all. So jump into the comments. Let us know where you're repping Dodger Nation. Brendan over on YouTube says, how are we feeling about Tsutsugo?
I like Tsutsugo.
Tsutsugo?
Tsutsugo.
Yeah, there's a t-shirt in there somewhere.
No,
I haven't found it yet.
No, don't, nobody.
I feel good in the sense of it cost us nothing. It hurts us almost none at all. However,
to get ahead in the show, it's better than Luke Raley. That's what I feel right now.
That's the name of the show, actually. Better than Luke Raley.
Look, Luke Raley's a nice boy. Not a big leaguer right now.
Got put in a bad spot.
We'll talk more about Yoshi-san a little bit later in the show, though. Jonathan Mora asking, what number will Pujols wear? He's wearing number 55, as predicted by your boy, the real FRG right here.
Roach is in the house and said, what's up, guys? Drinking some Hanger 24? Because, he's an IE boy. Yeah, he must drink what's there. No imports. In
Riverside.
Yeah, no imports there.
He also says, go golfing, and maybe we'll sign Scott Van Slyke. And if you guys don't follow Roach on the internet, he's... I don't know if he's trolling Scotty or if he's actually like just straight up creeping on Scott Van Slyke, but we're worried about you, Roach.
I think he is an actual fan of Scott Van Slyke, and I think his only fan.
Oh, there's a Scott Van Slyke only fans. Cool.
Oh,
subscribe. Daniel Soto is on Periscope, says, cheers, lads. Cheers, Daniel. Thanks for hanging out with
us. Look, I think he says Ukraine. I think that's what that says. Not sure. It's not spelled right. But Brian said he's checking in from the Ukraine, which, Mr. and Mr. Worldwide. Again, I don't know what else to tell you guys.
It's just what it be, Jonathan right here says what it do. It do that we be Mr. and Mr. Worldwide. Did I nail it?
Brendan says, what's your handicap?
I mean, kind of a fat guy. I'm about an 8-10, something like that, 8 to 10 handicap right now. It seems to be about the bucket I'm in.
My handicap is my golf game. I would not recommend bringing me along for pace of play. However, I'm a good time.
And that's honestly the slogan on Brooke's new OnlyFans. Subscribe. It's onlyfans.com/onlyfans.com. Undead Chronic, beautiful name on YouTube, says, are we now the all-geriatric team? When you add a 41-year-old, you really, I think you're automatically filed for AARP. Look, Albert Pujols is a straight-up legend, first ballot Hall of Famer, one of the best baseball players I've ever watched with my own two human eyes. However, dude looks like straight-up, gordito paisa that you're going to see at the swap meet. Back when those were a thing on the weekend.
Yeah, I missed that.
Watching him waddle around. I was telling Brooke before the show, he's going to play in the his first game. He's starting at first base. He's batting cleanup. And after the game, he's going to go sell tortas on the corner. So, he's a nice boy.
Happy to have him.
Pinche Berto. Yeah. He's got them killer tortas. Anyway.
Jorge checking in from Riverside as well. Roach, you have a friend. He's in the better part of the IE.
Jonathan Morris says, is he really 41 or 45? You remember that where everybody was like, he's probably like 5 years older than what he was saying when he first came up?
I do remember that. I like how you just leave that alone after that. Like people were like, I think he's older. And they're like, whatever. Yeah. I think Benito Santiago did a very similar thing where he was actually like 10 years older.
Yeah. It is what it is. I think people aren't aware of the fact that I am a Mexican, so I can say things about my Latino.
You mean your last
people.
name's not Pasilis?
No, it is not. Pujols is 21. Chill. Hell yeah, let's go. But yeah, let's just get right into it now. Hall of Famer, a former Dodger killer for years and years, joins blue. He's wearing blue for the first time in his career. It's weird. But man, Dodger blue just helps everybody.
I don't know what it is. I don't think everybody. I think sometimes when you change uniform, it looks better. I think it depends on person to person. I personally think Nolan Arenado looks terrible in red. I think it's just the weirdest, grossest thing.
Yeah.
But there's this weird thing that happens that no matter who comes to the Dodgers, no matter what uniform they were in before, you just look better in Dodger blue. And I'm not sure what it is about it. Maybe it's, we really like the Dodgers and so it makes sense. But I just think some people look a lot better. And I think that's certainly the case with Albert. I mean, if you saw his new look, if you guys got to see the preview of that, if you've seen him, clips of him in his jersey, dude looks fresh. I think he somehow looks younger. I don't know how that happened.
I would agree with that, man. He does have a youthful hue to him now, even though watch him waddling out on the field, it's a little bit of a different
When he
story.
runs, it'll change.
It's I don't know, man. It's gonna be weird because again, I've watched this dude destroy the Dodgers for 20 years now. Well, let's say for like 11 years, he destroyed the Dodgers and the rest of the league. And now he's a Dodger. It's very peculiar. What was your initial thought, your reaction when that happened? Like clearly somebody hacked Jorge Castillo.
No, I mean I saw it like the second it went up. I just happened to see it pop up immediately, and so I kind of just like froze for a second. Yeah. Like I mean, from a fan side of things, it's different than from what we do. So I always have like two different reactions to it. The fan side of me obviously likes to sit there and ponder it and think about it, and then the other side of me is like, I have to get this out immediately.
Yeah,
I don't have time to think about it. So once I got it out, and then I could think about it a little bit, I was like, that's actually a great move. Like a lot about it makes sense. It costs. I mean, the biggest thing, the number one thing. It's free. It's not rated. It's not
minimum.
It's not every day that you basically get a first ballot Hall of Famer on your roster for free, and that's what it is. I mean, he brings in a lot with that. Obviously, the defense isn't there ever. I mean, can you remember the last time the defense was there? I think it's been a while.
Man, that's another thing that's weird because, well, not weird because getting old sucks, but he was an elite defender at first for a while, Gold Glove winner. I think he won like 3, 4, 5. I don't know how many. He won a good amount at first. I mean, I remember him coming up, playing third base, playing left field. They were trying to hide him in left field because you remember how like he blew out his elbow and then just they never did anything about it? Yeah. Very weird. But my first instinct was just like, what the hell? This is not right. I don't get it. And then you really do start to dive in. You're like, I mean, the Dodgers are pretty god awful against left-handed pitching. They've needed more right-handed batters, at least available.
And they have children on their bench.
They do have children on their bench.
I mean, with all due respect to everybody that's been on the bench, I mean, I would rather have a 41-year-old almost footless Albert Pujols go out there than Sheldon Noisy getting pinch hit opportunities at this point. Sheldon Noisy, by the way, I think is going to be a very good big leaguer. He's just not there, and he's been forced into an opportunity that wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Same thing with Luke Raley. Same thing with a couple of really young guys on the team. They weren't supposed to be here yet.
No.
And now they found themselves in a place where they have to be here, and there's unrealistic expectations on them. And so I'm not knocking them by any means, but when you look at that and you have the availability of a guy like Albert Pujols, not even just the availability, the willingness to come to this team and play and possibly take a bench position and possibly just get pinch hit opportunities. That's obviously changed over the past 48 hours, but you got to take that. And the Angels are paying. There's a little extra that's like, I love the fact that the Angels are paying $30 million for him, and we are like, he's just going to play for us. But you guys, you pick up his tab. Thank you.
And you look back a couple weeks ago where we have not once but twice a Clayton Kershaw pinch hitting sighting in situations that could have won games or at least put the team ahead. I would rather see an Albert Pujols over, and I love DJ Peters. He's a good dude. Hopefully one day he can put it all together. Big swing, big hole everywhere in his swing right now, but he's got talent. He's got a future somewhere. Probably not on the bench for LA, and I don't know if there's ever going to be a starting spot for him, but to be able to throw in, Albert potentially when the team starts getting healthy and Pujols is in his role that he's supposed to be in, which is pinch hitting, occasional spot start. I mean, to thrust him in there in his first game, to have him starting against Mad Bum, I probably maybe would have rather seen Matt Beaty in there, but I guess given the fact that they signed Albert Pujols to be the lefty killer off the bench, he's had success against lefties this year, even though the numbers aren't all that great. But just a lot of things going on. So let's hear now from the man himself, Mr. Albert Pujols.
Whatever. I told him I'm here to do whatever, pinch hit, first base, whatever they want. I think at the end of the day, I'm just excited to have this opportunity to wear this uniform and, glad to be here. A bunch of great group of guys in this clubhouse, and they already making me feel like home. I knew that it wasn't over for me, so right away I was continuing to work, pretty much out of these last, 12 days, 13 days that I've been out of the game. I was working out probably 11 of them, just lifting, had a program, doing, my lifting, my hitting, everything that was going to keep me in game shape because I knew, I have a few things that were interesting on me and I want to make sure that I was ready to go. I didn't want to, stop doing any baseball activity and then had to push back if I do get that call. So I've been, hitting and just being ready and ready to go. And when I got this call and this opportunity, I was like, I was blessed. And to be able to be here, and try to represent this organization is awesome. It's a great opportunity. And I thank God for that door that was open again for me and wear this uniform. Hey, listen, I've been playing against this organization long enough on the other side, and I see how they go about it. And I think that's something that I wanted to be part of it. And like I told you earlier, the game plan that they lay out for me and the communication, that was really important. And, I'm here and I'm just really excited to contribute to this ball club and this organization. So I want to thank Dave and, and Andrew for giving me that opportunity to wear this uniform.
Right off the bat, I'll say he said all the right things in this press conference. He said he'll do whatever the team needs. He just is here to try to do whatever, literally whatever, and to try to win another World Series. It's been 10 years since that man has won a World Series. I saw one of the comments right here. Where? I like Mark. Mark Reed says on Facebook, doubt Albert and you pay. That's another little nugget to this whole thing. He's got a chip on his shoulder for the first time in quite some time.
Yeah, I mean, to be a future Hall of Famer with that kind of salary and that kind of contract given to you, a 10-year contract, and then to have it cut short right before your contract's about to be up, but also having to be paid for that. So it's like they have no other incentive other than to clear up a roster space for him. Is a little bit of I mean, obviously it's a business decision. I think it was a good decision by the Angels. I think it made sense. They have the talent that they have young guys that he's just kind of taking up a spot and blocking at the moment. Personally, I think you treat someone like that with a little more respect. when he's with your organization for that long, but it certainly seems like it could be something that's motivating him a little bit. And we've seen that from veterans that have come through in the past. We've seen guys who are supposed to be washed up, who were supposed to not really have anything else to offer, show up for a year and absolutely mash. You look at guys like Matt Kemp. You look at guys like borderline Russell Martin. You look at a bunch of, even Chase Utley, and he wasn't great, but David Freese, another guy, former teammate of Albert's several years ago, but
longtime teammate of old Albert.
So I think that is a motivating factor. I think that he will be better than he was this year in Anaheim. I don't think it was indicative of what he's actually is and what he's actually capable of. You and I talked a little bit about his peripheral numbers. The dude's hitting the ball harder than he has in the past 5 or 6 years right now, which sometimes means something.
Yeah.
Sometimes it doesn't, but it seems like it does this year. And he's having the same problems that Will Smith is having, where he's hitting it right at people. We all know working with Dodgers hitting coaches has changed a lot of players' games. I don't know how much you can do that at age 41 because, you're 41. You've been swinging the same way for X amount of years. But I do think that there is the extra motivation. I think the change of scenery, there is something real to that. I think playing in Dodger Blue at Dodger Stadium, there is something to that. It's not like anybody likes playing at Angel Stadium.
And the motivation to want to win. Again, this is a storied player in the history of the game of baseball, and he's a 2-time world champion, 3-time MVP. Probably wants to add one more. Let's tie him up. Let's get him another World Series and get him. He's not gonna get an MVP this year, but he'll be right there. He'll be knotted up, and knowing the role, it's a no-lose situation for the Dodgers. As long as if he's not producing, they don't hold on to him for the longest time. Sure, right now, the boys are hurt. You got Seager, who's now out. Bare minimum is a month, it feels really, really like optimistic for me. Cody may be back sometime late next week at the earliest. You got McKinstry, about the same situation. Those guys are going to be taking away at bats first from some of the other guys, like the Noisies, like the DJ Peters, like the Luke Rayleys, whatever it may be. David Price comes back today, although as of Showtime they didn't say who they're getting rid of. We assume it's Edwin Oseta. But to add somebody the caliber of an Albert Pujols and have him really be your pinch hitter, oh man, that like on paper, I guess I should say like on Wikipedia, on Baseball Reference, it makes a lot of sense because this is a dude who's done a lot of damage in his career. He's an active leader in most offensive stats right now in baseball history, and in the top 5 of most of them all time. And importantly, he said he's ready to embrace that role, and he's looking forward to that role, despite what writers said of him in Anaheim, where he wanted to play first base every day. He 180'd on that in his press conference today, saying like that was never the situation.
Yep.
Like he said he was surprised he had gotten like around 80 at bats so far this year. We'll say it's somewhere in the middle. Good job, he broke the thing again, but. Yeah, if you get him motivated, excited, and ready to embrace a role that he has not done very much. 21-year career, 41 pinch hit appearances all time. Wow.
Option Mitch White. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, not option Edwin.
I guess they were just like, which guy pitched last? Okay.
Yeah, they were like, who went very, very last? Mitch White, you're out of here. He pitched really well yesterday.
Yeah, and
he'll be back. He'll be back at the end of this week. Anyways,
the ERA looks good at least.
Oh, yeah. So we talked about the benefits. We talked about the upside. We talked about the positives. We talked about everything we're excited about. What stresses you out about this? Because for me, the biggest thing that stresses me out is the fact that Max Muncy might have to play a lot of second base. And that's not necessarily just because of Pujols. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that.
Yeah.
With Seager out, with CT's wrist falling off or whatever happened to him, a lot of things that are kind of pushing Max over to second base right now.
Yeah, it seemed like the writing was on the wall, and it really does suck because Max has been really locking in there at 1B, playing Gold Glove level defense, caliber defense, like Dave has said a number of times. I know you're big mad because now he might not be able to win his Gold Glove.
Listen, I don't know how many times in his career he's going to get the opportunity to win a Gold Glove. This is his best chance, I think, that he's ever going to have, and he's playing phenomenal defense. You look at his defensive run saved for a first baseman, and he's miles ahead of every other first baseman. And that's a big metric for a first baseman's Gold Glove defense.
Yeah. You got to remember, though, he's a West Coast baseball player. He's a Dodger, so the writers weren't going to give him the love. It was going to be Goldschmidt again.
If he hits more home runs, maybe.
Oh, but
because they don't know how to vote.
You're moving Max to second base. You got Seager, you got Seager out, so you're playing Lux at short. And I don't know if that's like a net gain, if that's a net negative, if that's even. Because Lux seems like he has more range than Seager, but the arm is kind of a question. And now on the other side, you're putting Pujols as the guy to receive potentially wild throws or digs in the dirt. And you could look at a number of, let's say, opportunities, attempts by Mr. Albert Pujols this year. He has not looked good at first. And he did, they said he was putting in the work with Anaheim before the untimely end of that. But, I guess maybe about 5 years too late, end of that. But that's one of the things the Dodgers are elite with, is helping these guys get really good on defense. You can look at somebody like Max Muncy, for example. He does not scream, this guy is an elite defender, but he's put up really good numbers so far. Dodgers could help put Pujols in the right situation, could help him, remind him, hey, you should probably look the ball into the glove. Maybe don't play as far so you don't need to try to hobble to first. I know how that goes.
Play right next to the bag.
Played a lot of first base injured and as a fat guy, so I know how that goes. That's seriously, though, my biggest concern is watching Albert Pujols attempt to play first. A little scared. I'm a little scared on that one.
Does he finish the entire year with the Dodgers?
That's the big question, and I saw that very early on in the comments. I forgot who asked, but I honestly have a hard time saying yes.
I think it's entirely depending on how he produces, honestly. I think it has nothing to do with more than that. I think it's if you produce, you stick around. If not, thank you. We appreciate you. Good luck with your next team. 100% did not expect him to sign with an NL team. Like everything in my body told me that he is going to sign with a rebuilding AL team, if anything. That was apparently not the case. I'm sure they were in the conversation. I don't know who was in the conversation. Maybe the Orioles. I don't know. Somebody that he could sell tickets for. I don't think he wanted that. Obviously, he went the complete opposite end of the spectrum and said, I want to play for a winning team. Again, he didn't say who was in the conversation. It sounded like the Cardinals were never in the conversation, which I didn't understand anyways. I get that it's I don't know.
It's nice to
a
go
PR
home. Move. Yeah.
Like if anything, but also like freeing up roster space.
If it was late in the season, it would have made sense. It was like September. You have 40 men. A roster you could bring up, and you're probably not going to have him on your postseason roster. Sure, let him come back, but so not in May.
I never understood that. The White Sox to me still made sense with all the injuries that they have. I think they who'd they lose?
Abreu.
Everybody good. They've lost everybody good on their team. They're still somehow very good. Eli's titty, rest in peace, bless up. I also get to, Tony La Russa. I don't know how that relationship is. I have no idea, but there's got to be something there. Here he is, though. And I don't know if he's going to be with the team the whole year. I think his intention is to be with the team the whole year. I think that the Dodgers are like, look, you hit, you stay. You don't, you got to go. And it's left-handed pitching. I mean, that's the biggest thing. Can you hit left-handed pitching? I don't think he's going to be matched up against a lot of right-handed pitching, and if I don't think they expect him to really produce. But if he's also not hitting left-handed pitching, no.
Tina says he probably didn't want to uproot his family either. He is pretty nicely well-established here in Southern California now. Michael on Facebook says, iconic baseball hero. He deserves a respectful ride into the sunset. DH would have done him better for that. The Dodgers can, though, hopefully provide him the best opportunity for that respectful ride into the sunset, because again, I really feel strongly there's more value, there's more upside here with this move than there is downside. Downside is you're bringing on board an old man who is kind of, you don't know what you're really going to get from him, but he's hitting the ball hard. He brings that hashtag veteran presence to the clubhouse, which is probably pretty big in a younger, different kind of clubhouse right now. How do you feel about the veteran presence and bringing somebody like Alberto in?
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's always beneficial. And sometimes it means more, sometimes it means less, sometimes it doesn't mean anything at all. But I think in my mind, it's always beneficial. The Dodgers in the past have shown that veterans, especially established veterans, guys who have been there before, have made an impact and changed the clubhouse chemistry, especially when the Dodgers clubhouse was a little younger. You know, you're talking guys like David Freese and Chase Utley coming in, even Jimmy Rollins in his brief time coming through. I mean, they made a difference when they were there. And I think that they value that a lot. And so I think that's certainly part of it with signing Albert. I don't think it's a pure talent standpoint as much as the potential and leadership.
Well, he plays his first game in Dodger Blue tonight on Monday. Of course, if you've listened to this podcast, it's probably Tuesday, so you know how it went. Hopefully he drops a dong or something like that and just gets off to a good start, because that would be very nice if he can get off to a good start. You know, it's all about them first impressions. And while Albert Pujols has made plenty of impressions at Dodger Stadium over his long and historic career, let's continue it in Dodger Blue. Moving on, we got to announce a winner for our Vintage Brand giveaway. We're doing Throwback Thursdays with Vintage Brand, and we are giving away a canvas of your choice. You're going to have to reach out to us to kind of pick it out. We'll talk to you. But we had the question last Thursday, which was which ugly stretch felt worse in terms of losing streaks that the Dodgers have been on recently. Throw that bug back on. The streak the Dodgers came off of, the 2021 streak where they went 5-15, the 2017 stretch where in September they went, I think it was 3-17, or the ugly start to 2018 where they went, I think it was 16-26 to start, which is not bueno. And I'm just randomly picking somebody. I think we had some good ones in the comments, and we'll get this a little better tightened up for this coming Thursday's edition of Throwback Thursday, which may be featuring Gale. We'll get back to you on that. But I liked right here our boy Ray. The Atom Bomb gave us a good answer. It says, mentioned it on the live stream, 17 felt worse because we were on top of the world and then losing 16 out of 17 with the Diamondbacks having our number. We were desperate to reach the World Series in 29 years, and it felt like the world was coming to an end. 21 just felt like we were wasting our time watching. Yeah. Anyways, you're the winner. DM me or Brooke, and we'll get you set up with a canvas from our friends over at Vintage Brand. Make sure you subscribe to their newsletter, vintagebrand.com. There's a newsletter down in the footer of their website. It might pop up on their website as well, or I think they have like a vintagebrand.com/subscribe right now. Check it out. Just go there. You'll make us all feel much happier.
Yeah.
And raising the stream. He says, I won. Yes, you did. Yes, you did.
You're a winner.
Moving on.
From good news to bad news. I mean, it's not a typical Blue Heaven show.
We only do bad news here, baby. Let's go.
We are the bad news broadcast. Corey Seager. Did you see that live?
I did not.
I believe you were heavily invested into.
I was invested into a steak at that point. Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Pinnacle Peak, shout out.
He looked like he was in a lot of pain. Got hit in the hand. You could pretty much tell immediately. He probably broke something. Hands are very, what's that called? Bony?
Bony, yeah.
There's mostly bones in hands,
Yeah,
obviously.
he broke a boner, yeah.
So I like how Dave Roberts trying to remember the
I don't know,
the
man.
name of the bone. He's like, it's like a metatarpal or a metaparpal or
Metaparsal.
And then someone's like, is it a metacarpal, Dave? And he's like, that one. Yeah,
that's
I
the
don't
one.
know. Broke a little bony in his hand.
Fifth metacarpal bone in his right hand.
Actual Twitter doctors, not the ironic Twitter doctors. The actual doctors that are on Twitter that are also into sports are like, hey, that's actually pretty good. Recovery time is more or less greater, around 4 weeks plus or minus, depending on who you are. I think with Corey, it's probably on the plus side more than anything. You can see in his cast, his hands kind of bruised. You can see the fingers bruising. 4 weeks? I don't see 4 weeks.
Yeah, Dave said the floor is 4 weeks. That feels very, very optimistic. And Dave did not want to offer up a timeline, but he was kind of forced into it. He was backed into a corner, and that's what he came up with. That's probably the numbers they've given. One of the good things of a bad situation with this, the best part for Corey here is that it was his right hand. So he's able to do a lot more stuff. He can still He can still, as Dave said, he can do some top hand stuff with the bat. Dodgers have the virtual reality stuff
too.
Dodgers have that virtual reality thing, so they can still at least like see some fake pitching. He can run because it's not his legs. He can do defensive work, which is good because it's not his glove hand. So at least he can still see some stuff. It's not going to be that bad. It's not going to take as much like to get his body completely back into shape. He can do everything to stay as close to in shape where he can maybe go out on a week rehab assignment and see X amount of pitching and come back and be okay. Notably, he wasn't overly tearing up the ball on either sides of the ball, as it were, as Matty Man says right here. He was heating up. He was starting to look a little bit better, but still, you don't want this, especially when you have Cody Bellinger out. You have Zach McKinstry still out. Pollock was lost just the day before because, surprise, he came back too early. You don't do that with hamstrings.
Nah, hamstrings hurt. I'm not even old and my hamstrings really hurt. You just don't do it. I mean, Pollock goes down.
You saw it coming.
There's no way. Like when he went for that ball in Anaheim, I was like, that probably hurt. I can't imagine that felt very good.
Yeah.
He's not old, but he is injury prone. He's had a history of getting hurt and it affecting him throughout the course of the season sometimes. Mm-hmm. Not saying that's necessarily what this is, but I did feel like they were in a position where they could have maybe afforded to sit him out a couple more games, a couple weeks maybe. And now you're at a point where it's going to be weeks. Now you forced it into a situation where it's going to be weeks without AJ Pollock.
I think could have gotten away with him just being the pinch hitter on the bench.
No,
because it was working.
Now, I mean, luckily we're at a point where Z-Mac should be coming back soon. Cody hopefully should be coming back soon. They're going to go out on rehab assignments this week. Good news, great news, love it. But they've been out for a while. I mean, Cody Bellinger in particular has been out since the second series of the year. Yeah. I mean, that was a long time ago if you think about it. He's going to need some at-bats. He's going to need to see a bunch of live pitching. I mean, at this point, he might as well just be back in spring training. He's just going to be starting over from scratch again because he hasn't been able to do much in that time that he's been off. So I worry about that a little bit. I do worry about them maybe bringing him back and then he's not able to produce because he didn't get enough live at-bats. He didn't see enough live pitching. Didn't see enough good live pitching. Zach McKinstry a little less worried about. Mm-hmm. But I guess that's an upside to it. I mean, at least we got those guys coming back. Another upside, at least we are supposed to see more Matt Beaty. Supposed to see more Matt Beaty. He says on the day that Matt Beaty is once again not starting.
Yeah.
But left-handed pitching.
Matty got 3 hits against the Marlins on Sunday, and his reward, once again, for a nice game is El Bencho.
Right behind for 9, Matt.
As of right now, since Price has been activated, there are 12 Dodgers currently on the injured list. They got a pretty damn good team on the IL right now. So my question is, who did we piss off? What did we do? Who upset the baseball gods? Because there is some serious bad juju in the air. And it was very weird, too, because they stayed so incredibly healthy during spring training that they were so healthy to a point that I thought about it. I was like, wow, this is usually doesn't happen in spring training. I mean, we had like the Joe Kelly thing where he was still coming back from something and Mitch White was a little behind schedule, but that was it. That was all that happened. And then everybody and their grandma decides to die now in the season. We're missing Scott Alexander, who's going to be out for longer than they said. Ferguson, of course, out for the year. Tony Gonsolin, for people who don't understand what's going on, he was put on the 60-day injured list today. It's going to be retroactive. It's not going to be anything. It was just a roster move to get a spot for Albert Pujols. He'll still be back 2 weeks, less, maybe a little more. He will be back. He will be the Dodgers' number 5 starter. Brusdar is still kind of, I think that he's long tossing, still not off a mound. He seems to be kind of going back and forth between Arizona and LA. Is that a thing, or?
I don't know what the purpose of that is. I don't know if there's maybe a bigger issue than they know, or they're just very confused about what's wrong with him. But he seems very up in the air.
Yeah.
He seems to be one of those guys. And we've had a couple of those guys this year where it's like, I don't know. He could be back today. He could be back 3 months from now.
Of course, Corey Knebel hurt himself after he started pretty damn well in the season. They're expecting him back later in the year. David Price just came back. Eddie Rios, out of nowhere, out for the year. Surgery. Cody's come back. We talked about him. Pollock. Seager just went down. Tommy Kahnle's another guy who's on the IL. Pitcher. Signed him this offseason. Nobody's seen him really yet. Could maybe sneak into the bullpen somehow by September. Probably, maybe. But it still would have been a while since he had last pitched. And, of course, D-May out for the year. So a lot of IL time. I don't know who we pissed off.
I think the Lakers and Dodgers, they just sold their souls for a championship in 2020.
For the Mickey Mouse Championship.
I mean, if you guys watch basketball, too, it is tough watching the Lakers, and playoffs are starting.
And Lakers are in the play-in tournament thing. I really haven't paid attention.
They're in a play-in tournament. It's not good. It's not good news, boys.
Well, at least we got a lot of baseball left, and we have basically a brand new roster for the Dodgers. And this is clearly our serious episode today because there's so much actual news, so we don't need to dick around as much. But we already talked about it. Pujols on the roster. Price has rejoined the roster. But the big move, the big other move, the kind of sneaky, could be a sneaky good move, Yoshi Tsutsugo. I like it. I do like the move. Big league numbers do not look good. I think he's like a career 177 hitter, only 77 games. Much more serviceable in Japan over his career. 10 years, 285 batting average. Been a solid player.
I feel like the Rays gave up on him pretty quick.
Yeah.
Pretty damn quick. I mean, granted, I think the general consensus is that you look at players that play in Japan and Korea, and they're supposed to be big league ready. I mean, when you guys come over to the major leagues, they don't come over to go play in the minors, and they don't try to make their way up. They come over to play big league baseball, and that's the point. So I get it from that standpoint. If they're like, hey, we gave you, parts of 2 seasons, didn't produce. Sorry.
Yeah.
I get that, I guess. But also, I mean, the Rays are a lot like the Dodgers in the terms of their analytical department, the way they guide players, improve talent, things like that. I don't know what was going on over there. I don't know the Rays very well. Never met him. But I do think he is one of those guys that I think can be really good for the Dodgers.
Yeah, and the Dodgers and Dave have already talked about it. Like they've done their homework as the Dodgers do. Done their homework on this player, and we'll get Dave in right here to talk about just some of the things they think they could help out Yoshi-san with.
Yeah, there's things that our hitting guys have already kind of dug into, and it's kind of, if you do a side-by-side of him in Japan and him with the Rays, he's a shell of himself. And so there's obviously some things that we got to talk through, and we want to hear his take on where he's at mechanically, process-wise, and then so we can have a conversation and kind of work together to kind of figure this thing out, because there's a lot of upside. There's life to the bat. He's a professional hitter.
Professional hitter, usually a go-to for for Doc, provided they're well. I've enjoyed before we dive more into Tsutsugo, I've enjoyed watching and listening to Doc and Friedman try to bounce around saying the rookies are really bad at baseball and our bench sucks.
Yeah,
like today, Friedman was saying a whole lot of, what was it? It was something about getting them like in the right situation or something like that.
Right.
Like he did his best. He did his best to not say, "Hey, these guys are not doing what Jock and Kike would have been doing. They're not producing."
He's like, "Hey, it's hard to be a young guy coming off the bench. It's easy to be an old guy coming off the bench." That's what he said.
Yeah,
and that did,
and
doesn't always track.
And Dave, though, today did add that Yoshi is a really good acquisition for the Dodgers. So there's a lot to probably like with this guy. Oddly, another left-handed bat, kind of thick boy, big time pull power, a little bit of first, a little bit of third base, some left field. He's played around, probably not going to get too much up the middle. I thought maybe you might see him mixing in a tad at shortstop. You look at him, might not be his profile, maybe in an emergency, but you got other guys who can get the work done at short with Luxie and CT, and I don't even know who else after that, to be honest. Noisy
could play short.
Yeah, I like the Raisin.
Noisy can play. He's got a good arm.
But seemingly, there's a lot to like on a flyer like this.
Yeah, I mean, there's not a lot of hate at this point. If you're at a position where you're like, hey, there's a lot of guys in the minor leagues that need to be called up right now. There's a lot of guys ready to go that need to be getting major league playing time. I could see you not liking the move, but who?
He's literally not blocking anybody.
Who is he blocking?
You think back to like 2019 when Lux was tearing the cover off the ball in AAA and he couldn't get a spot until September. Like, I mean, obviously then they had some killer dudes. You still had Freezer, you had Kike, you had Jock, you had some dudes on the bench who can get the job done. So it's like, okay, this guy isn't really going to get this opportunity. But now you look at Sheldon and DJ and Barnesy and who else? I don't know. Like it's been so thin. They're carrying so many pitchers of late. So it's the right guy at the right time. Give it a try. Friedman doing what Friedman does best, and that's just hunting for talent. Finding guys on the fringe, sort of, that could help with depth. And he didn't build out the depth as well as he has in the past because he lost two big pieces that were just always there.
Yep.
So it's a solid move. It's another one. It's not going to hurt us. And if it does, sorry, bud, you're going to AAA or you're leaving. That's the way it goes. And I'm talking to you, actually.
I am leaving.
You're going to AAA. I'm going to DFA you just before episode 200 coming up.
Oh man.
We got some just to get off track here. We got some people that are trying to put the Dodgers struggles on Trevor Bauer. Interesting.
He's got a lot of power.
He's got a lot of power.
Showed up and
with his paper on his shirt.
Made him lose. Yeah, I like how he's just like, you want to talk about that? Nope. His pressers are fun, man. That dude is he's an interesting cat. He's like Zach Greinke if Greinke would actually talk. I think that's what's going on in his head. Man, dude, I wish I was around for Zach Greinke interviews. Oh my God, I wish I was.
Having a dude who's in the rotation, staying healthy, taking the ball every fifth day, and he's like 4-3, but he has like a 2.4 ERA or something like that. Like, and he's shoving so far in May. I think he has a 1.3 ERA. That's what I worry. Where the hell would we be with if that signing didn't happen? But I can see it. It is one of the changes, but there was more than just bringing in a guy. There was a lot of different bodies kind of going out that the Dodgers have relied on for quite some time. So don't blame Bauer for the bad juju. Or do. I don't know. I mean, it's up to you. It's your own prerogative. I don't really care either way. Moving on. The Dodgers are finally playing Arizona.
Yeah, I don't know who made the schedule this year, but
somebody was drunk, and they're like, they don't need to play.
They're like, you know what?
Division.
Play Colorado a bunch of times. Play the Padres a bunch of times. Go wherever else. Play the Mariners twice. Why not? And then they're like, oh, yeah, Diamondbacks. Diamondbacks are in the division. I forgot about that. They're like, oh, Giants, too. We should probably put them right after them. Yeah, well, my bad, guys. Yeah, really odd. But, Arizona's, they're not as good as they once were.
No.
They're not as good as they once were. They're not as bad as they have been.
When you, trade your good players, you're not good.
Are you telling me Paul Goldschmidt was a good player?
Allegedly.
I miss Paul Goldschmidt being a Diamondback. 18-23 coming into the series, a solid fourth place in the NL West. The disparity between third place and fourth place is pretty phenomenal in the NL West.
Yeah,
pretty phenomenal. 273 team batting.
Oh wait, that's wrong.
That's not 273.
They're 237.
It's a low batting average.
Yeah.
They got a 4.8 team ERA. They don't really have a starting rotation.
No,
I mean, you got Mad Bum, who is technically a starter.
It's Mason Saunders.
I don't like pitching against Mad Bum. I don't mind hitting against them. We can hit him. I just hate pitching against him because he always got the chance that he's going to take you deep.
Yeah, at least Kershaw's not pitching against him.
Yeah.
That's like guaranteed.
You would have 2 shots off of him easily.
But Mad Bum isn't doing great, but he's coming in pretty hot. He's on a roll, 4-0 in his last 5 starts, 3 earned runs, over 30 innings pitched. So this is probably not the time you want to face Mad Bum. On the other side, it'd be fun to uproot him.
He's due.
He's due for a stinker. But otherwise, like you said, zero rotation they have over there in
They got all
Arizona.
TBDs behind them,
It's TBD for the rest of the damn series as of right now. It's just 5:46 on Monday ahead of Game 1. But you got Julio going on the bump tomorrow. You got Buehler tonight on Monday. You got Kirsch on Wednesday. And it's a 4-game series. Bauer takes the matinee. I don't know if it's a matinee or not, I assume, because they're traveling from there. But he's on Thursday against TBD, who I hear throws really hard.
Oh, TBD plus stuff. Elite command.
So, again, this is another opportunity as part of this homestand. The Dodgers got to keep fattening up the best ways that they can to be, so far they're, 4-1 on the homestand. Mm-hmm. They're 5 of their last 7, so that's better than 5 and 15. Things are going better.
This week would be a great time to make up a ton of ground in the standings. A ton of ground.
There's not much difference between the third place Dodgers and the first place Giants, who also have the best record in the National League, which is like I've said for the last year and a half that the Giants don't sleep on the Giants. They're going to be pretty damn good pretty damn soon. Maybe not the best. You wouldn't have expected them to be the best in the NL right now. They're also not that good. Dodgers are only 2 games behind them, or 2.5 games, I think, behind them right now. They're going to fade, as Paul says right here. They're going to fade. They have a lot of bullpen issues. Jake McGee, y'all remember that name? He's their closer.
Fastball Jake McGee.
And he ain't doing all that hot all the time. He's got saves, sure, but that's but a number. So who we get to play them this week? And that's going to be fun. I am very much looking forward to playing the Gigantes. We'll talk more about it on Thursday for, I guess, another pregame. I don't know what time the game is on Thursday, so it's either a pregame or a postgame or something like that. But Farhan, as Jose Rado 5 says, Farhan has built a very good product up there in San Francisco. And I think he's also probably a little mad that they're gooder because he wants to trade those dudes to be able to, get some prospect capital.
7:10 on Thursday. I'm surprised on a travel day of all days. I guess it's not that far.
Traveling all the way up to San Fran?
So it'll pregame on Thursday, guys. We'll pregame.
5 o'clock on Thursday. Anyways, that's about it. Cool. You got any final comments?
Good to see you.
Good to see you.
Go Albert.
Like, share, subscribe. No, it'll be there's a lot of new Dodger baseball happening right now, guys. Soak it up. Albert Pujols is a Dodger. That's weird. You should accept it as weird. You should also embrace it as weird, because weird is fun.
You say weird again.
Weird. You can find us on the weird internet at DodgersNation.com. Subscribe to Blue Heaven on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, Stitcher Radio, Player FM, so many more. And make sure I'm just going to keep doing this. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/DodgersNationTV. I got a request to sing Smooth, and I will not, because it will blend awkwardly into the music that's playing on the podcast side right now. So
it'll just be you adding lyrics to something that doesn't make sense. Guys, I'm at BrookMe3. This guy over here is at RealFRG. He is singing Smooth. We're on Twitter and Instagram. We are at Dodgers Nation on Twitter, at official Dodgers Nation on Instagram. Thanks for hanging out with us. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for your comments. Thank you for starting that for no reason. We appreciate you guys. Go Dodgers.
Make it real.
See you on Thursday.